So it's 2025, you're thinking about buying a house, but you're also thinking, wow, affordability is extremely challenging right now. And even though we're in a quote unquote buyer's market, affordability makes it not so much a buyer's market. And so the market's very strange, but hey, you want to buy a house for whatever reason. You're relocating, you're pregnant, you need a bigger home, you're looking to downsize, whatever it might be, moving or making a real estate purchase in the next 9 months or so by the end of 2025 is a priority for you. This video is for you. Now, there's a lot of different things you can do, and I'm not saying like, I'm not trying to show you a miracle, but what I am showing you is how the current market we're in, at least in Metro Phoenix, how we can use this leverage that we have in this buyer's market to make your payment a little bit more affordable that maybe you don't know about. And so this is more of like a tips and tricks guide on how to buy a house in 2025 to make your payment slightly less than you might think it is if you were to go to mortgagecalculator.com and punch in some numbers. So we're gonna dive into that in this video. Let's get to it right now. Hello everyone, my name is Jeremy Fuhst. I am a local real estate agent in the Metro Phoenix area, and I know you're probably thinking this guy's wearing a hat and he's covered in tattoos, but I do this at a very high level. I've got all the awards and all different kinds of things. I've been doing this for a while, and I sell a lot of homes. So let's talk about the market right now. It's weird. Like I said just 30 seconds ago, we're in a buyer's market because supply and demand is showing that buyers have the leverage, but also affordability is extremely challenging. And so what do we do to kind of work around this when you're looking to buy a house? Because homes are still selling every single day. Who's buying those homes? How are they buying those homes? And how can we best game plan for you to make sure you're making the right decision, right? Because when you buy a house, obviously it's a giant expense. It is typically the largest bill that comes out of people's bank account is going to be their mortgage payment. How do we keep that as low as possible? And everybody's going to be slightly different depending on obviously income, credit, DTI. Are they selling a house? Do they have a ton of equity that they're going to roll over? Are they going to recast? Are they going to come in contingent? Is it your first time buying a house? Are you going new construction? There's a lot of different variables here. And if you've bought a house before, you probably know it's not the most complicated thing. Yes, there's some things that you probably didn't know about and you learned a little bit and you just did what your realtor told you to do. And once you kind of get through the first 2 weeks of going under contract, then you're basically squared away. But in today's market, we just want to make sure you are sitting in the best position possible, right? You want to try to save yourself the most amount of money. You want to make sure that you're building equity. And so when you do go to sell it in 5 years, that you have a good chunk of change and just set yourself up to be in the best position possible. And what the current market is doing for buyers is it's allowing them to come into a situation and have a ton of leverage, meaning because inventory is flooding the market right now, we have more listings hitting the market than buyers are absorbing it. So our inventory is increasing. And when that happens, listings tend to sit on the market a little bit longer. And when a home sits on the market longer, a seller gets more eager to sell, right? I think that's pretty self-explanatory, but to give you a brief example is if you were to list your house at $500,000 and you get an offer day one at $450, you're going to say, no, I'm not going to take a $450 because I haven't even given the market a chance to show me what buyers are going to pay for my house. On day 120, that $450 might become more appealing. Now, I'm not saying a $50,000 price reduction is the most common, but what I am saying is the longer you sit on the market, the more leverage you have as a buyer. And so we're seeing homes sit on the market longer. Now, at least here in Metro Phoenix, if you're still priced good, you look good, and you're in a really good location, you can sell very quickly. Like I just had one where I was competing. We had to compete. We won the offer because that's what I do. Hello. But point being is, if you're in a good location, if the house looks good and you're priced right, you can still sell your home and net the most amount of money. If you bought your home pre-2020, you probably have a good chunk of equity in your home that where you can go and roll it over into the next loan and so on and so forth. But with days on market, buyers are able to go and beat up the seller a little bit. So very common. Just to use examples that I am sitting on right now, I have one under contract where we're getting 5% in concessions. 5%. Now they're able to use that concession to either buy their rate down, permanent rate buy down, or temporary rate buy down, and cover closing costs. If you're able to go get that much in concession, I'm not saying that's also very common, but if we are, then you have the option of saying, hey, I want to do a temporary rate buy down. And the most common one right now is called a 2-1 buy down. It's not for everyone, but maybe it is for you, and we look at the situation and identify, hey, this could really work out for you, and which means your first year, your rate is 2 points lower, your second year, it's 1 point lower, and then the third year, you go to something called note rate, which is basically market rate as it is today. You could do a straight rate buy down, which if you get pre-qualified at 6.8 today, maybe with 10 grand, you can buy it down to 6.2, right? Just to give you an example, I don't actually know if those are the numbers. You can also cover your closing costs, right? Which is a fairly large expense. And so when you go down that route, you really want to do the math and you want to have some sort of idea, hey, do we want to stay in this house long-term, or is this just kind of a stepping stone to get into the bigger, badder, better home in the next 3 years? Meaning, okay, so let's say you cover all your closing costs and your closing costs came out to be $9,000 instead of doing a rate buy down. Then you just do the difference. If I do a rate buy down, it will save me $300 a month. At $300 a month, it will take me X amount of time to hit that $9,000. So maybe it makes sense to actually keep the cash in our pocket, pay the higher mortgage price, so then we're actually coming out on top because we're not planning on being here forever. Also, if you believe rates are going to come down, and this is totally your decision, I can advise on it, but there's been way too many people that were wrong, including myself, about when rates were going to drop over the last 3 years. And so we just kind of look at the forecast and say, hey, I think this could happen, but maybe it won't, maybe it will. If you're in the camp of, I think rates are going to come down in the next 2 years, then maybe it doesn't make sense to use a short-term buy down, or maybe it does make sense to do a short-term buy down if you think the opposite, or whatever it might be. But giving you the options and the information so you can make the best decision possible. That's all this is about, ever. Your realtor should be just giving you all the information, helping you kind of piece it all together so you can make the best decision possible for you and your family. But going into this market, you can get the temporary rate buy down. But what you can also do is you can beat them up on purchase price. So if you can beat them up on purchase price and get concessions, here's what that means. If you have a house listed at 500 and you get it for 450, and then you get the appraisal done and it appraises it for 500, you have $50,000 in equity. So when you go to sell that home in 3 years, and let's say it appreciates to 540, and you bought it for 450, and in those 3 years you were paying down your debt service, so now you owe 440. Now you have $90,000 in equity just from that. Right? So not only did you cover your closing costs, you also got $90,000 in equity, which then you can use however you want. You can pull out a HELOC, you can do your backyard, you can go buy an investment property, you can whatever deems right for you guys, you can go do it. And that is the potential in this market. Now, yes, when you go and you punch in numbers on mortgagecalculator.com and it shows your payment's going to be $3,500, you're like, holy cow, I get it. I understand. But if it's a goal to buy a house this year, there are options, and that's what this is all about. I'm not trying to say it's a great time to buy, it's a horrible time to buy. What I am saying is buyers have leverage. If you can afford the payment, it could pay off for you in the future. Now, on the flip side of things, if you choose to wait for rates to come down, and now all these buyers come back into the market, they're going to absorb the inventory. Buyers have less leverage. Now, yes, your rate came down, but you're going to be paying more for the property. So now you're going to build equity slower. You're not going to be able to get your closing costs covered. You're not going to be able to do a rate buy down, but rates are already down, right? 6%. So who cares about a rate buy down? But you're not going to have leverage. So it really depends. And obviously, when rates come, if you were to buy, let's say in 2025, rates come down in 2027, you can always refi. So if you're looking to buy a house in 2025, if I could instill one thing in you, is reach out to your realtor and say, hey, what are my options? Reach out to a lender. Say, hey, here's what I'm thinking. Does this make sense? And if you have good ones, a good realtor and a good lender, they'll be honest with you and they'll figure out a solution for you. And if it doesn't make sense, they'll say, hey, it doesn't make sense. But if you want to buy a house this year, there are things you can do to make it slightly more affordable. And you have leverage, which could pay off in the future. Now, when you look at the headlines and you see all these things happening, especially right now, there's a bunch of turmoil. There's a lot of people on both sides of the camp. You have to do what's the best decision for you, period. And so trying to figure that out, right? And finding people in your life that aren't going to try to shove things down your throat and make you do things, but just give you the information so you can make the best decision possible for you and your family. That's all I got. My name is Jeremy Fuhst. Again, I own a real estate team called Impact Real Estate. I'm going to leave my info down below if you have any questions. If you're looking for an alternate website besides Zillow, but something that syndicates with the MLS, a little more accurate than all those other kind of websites out there, I'm going to drop that link below as well. It's called eastvalleyhomehunt.com. I'm here to help. I'm here to serve. If you have any questions, please let me know. I'm an open book. I like to describe my job as I work for free. Sometimes I get paid because of just the things I do. But I want to make sure everyone has the information. If you're looking to buy a house in Arizona, holler at me. Again, my name's Jeremy Fuhst. Hit like and subscribe. I think that helps. I don't know. That's what YouTubers say. But I hope to hear from you soon. See you guys.